Hey guys, welcome back to Themis and Thought. Grab your coffee, water, tea, whatever you're drinking, go and get that. And today we're going to be talking about two ideas in the manosphere, which is sort of in preparation for our live on Friday. The first one has to do with this idea that black women's standards are too high. And the second is the idea that black women only wanted thugs. Now, these two are inconsistent because if someone wants a thug, their standards aren't that high. Now, if you're a thug, if you define yourself as a thug and you're watching this, I apologize. Take solace in the notion that I wish I could be like you. And this is not a drag for you or against you or me dragging you. So the only thing I'm going to say regarding quote thugs is that for a woman to want a thug, that is kind of inconsistent with the idea that that woman's standard for their mate is too high. Now, I'm talking about this because I randomly came across for Harriet when she was live, right? And I just so happened to record this portion of her live. I think she posted the video, but I wasn't sure, so I recorded this part. I will link her video down in the description. I hope I don't forget to do this because she did something that I thought was really amazing in terms of her approach to talking about this. Because so often what these men do is they talk about their experience, their kind of anecdotal experiences, and use that to generalize about women. But even their experience is not true. And we know it's not true. And we know they're lying. As a general matter, if we are going to be talking about standards in the black community, I think maybe the truth is that black women's standards are too low. Now, I'm not going to say that as a fact, but the research tends to suggest that black women's standards when it comes to a mate is generally low. Now, we had some of this conversation in the live on last week, but the truth is, regardless of what you're hearing black women articulate about tall, dark, and handsome with a job and six figures and all of that stuff, these aren't the people that they are choosing to mate with. These aren't the people they're choosing to reproduce with. But I wanted to dissect it because the same group of people, not just in the manosphere, but on Clubhouse, I think this idea has taken hold of the black community and black men particularly, and it's just not true. It is just not true. Particularly this idea that black women, when I was younger, did not want me. Okay, this is what For Harriet dragged them about, and I'm going to play that in a moment. But before I play that, let me just use myself as an example since we're using anecdotes. Let's run with this anecdote. People on YouTube have called me feminine, skinny, like gay, everything in the book, right? So the essence of who I am in terms of the way that I'm being portrayed on YouTube, and I'm portraying myself because I don't care, right? I have not had a problem, like even in high school, right? Now people can say, well, now you seem to have gone to school and blah, blah, blah. So you have an excuse and people want what you have. So whatever, right? But even before that, I was seen as, well, let me not say attractive, because I was always attractive and I will take no other opinion in that realm. But even with all those traits that people are calling feminine and beta and all of that, there were black women who were interested in me in high school, right? And so this idea that because you were a nerd, you weren't chosen by black women and that somehow left you scarred, and that is why you were dating other races. Like, no. First and foremost, if you have internalized white supremacy, right? If you have internalized ideas about race and importance and value based on race, just say that. Don't come here and say one black woman treated you bad, therefore you are going to divest from the black community and go date Asian, white. And I mean, love is love. You can do what you want, but don't put that at the feet of anyone else. You are making that decision. And I promise you, for that one cheerleader that was light skinned, that every single person in your school wanted, that rejected you, there were at least 5, if you were in a predominantly black school, that liked you, that you didn't pay any mind and attention to, because you were so focused on that one person. And true, if that's who you're attracted to, that's who you were attracted to. But don't say black woman rejected you because that one person that had so many options, including the running back and the entire football team and then the basketball team. Everyone wanted that cheerleader, and they rejected you for those more popular guys. You are now upset and saying black women rejected. No, black women did not reject you. That is not the case. And if I was getting chosen by black women with all the faults that you guys have pointed out about me, I find it very hard to believe that black women just rejected black men who were quote unquote a nerd. No, absolutely not. But for Harriet, did a dragging. She did a thing. And I'm going to play a part of the video and we're going to watch it and react together.
So this idea, okay, you know, my first boyfriend in high school was white because all the black boys okay, we're not. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to yell. But if you talk to black girls, okay, there's a common story of we were there, we were unpicked, okay? The issue is not that black girls only wanted thugs and jocks and whatever. The issue is that you, sir, okay, wanted light-skinned green eyes or curly hair or, you know, a type of person who, like, wasn't just fucking with you. I'm sorry, but the find your audience shit, you know, find the people who fuck with you shit does not just apply to grown people. It also applies to fucking people in high school. Why is it that the white nerds in high school were able to...
By the way, let me just pause it and say it right now. If I'm ever in someone's live chat, I'm usually, I think the phrase is cutting out. Like, I'm just here to have fun, right? So, excuse me when I'm in other people's live chat or talking, because I just feed off whatever energy is here, just FYI. But she's also speaking about something that I was underscoring earlier, which is you don't get to project your insecurity because of one rejection on an entire race of people. Like that, you just don't. But anyway, let me continue.
Find each other, okay? The white cheerleaders and jocks were able to find each other, but there was no black, like, there were no black girl and black boy nerd. Like, come on. It's not making sense. Come on. Whew. I'm sorry. Okay. How much of the I was too much of an intellectual for black girls is also really code for I was a creepy, gatekeepy dude? It's just gaslighting. When I was, you know, obviously results may vary. Everybody's experience is different. But when I was in high school, I would have loved to have been able to been liked and approached and what, well, I was, you know, approached by like, you know, a couple black boys, but not in my high school. They weren't interested. That's just it. That's just it. You know who asked me to prom? White boy. Like, that's it. Anyway.
Moment. I'm gonna stop it there for a moment because I do think this is really important, and it's important because when we talk about things like this, we have to be clear about the value system that is in our community. I do fundamentally have a problem with that which is valued in our community, right? And this idea that we don't value education is seen in a lot of ways. Like I have spoken to, and this is anecdotal, so criticize me for it, many people from many different races, and one of the things that they point out is that they like their maid to be educated, even in, and this there are studies concerning this too, where even stay-at-home mothers, right, would go and get a degree so that they would be able to educate the children at home. And these white men, in this case, were partnering with women who they wanted to stay at home to, and those women wanted to stay at home, but they were educated and they wanted these women to have education in order to teach their children at home, right? And help their children with school. And so this idea that, and I did ask, and I'm going to play this clip from the live because I keep mentioning the live and I'm never playing the clips because I just hate hearing my own voice. But I'm going to play this clip. And the question that I was asking about was concerning, do men care about a woman's degree? Right? Now, imagine there are these men who are talking about, oh, when I was a nerd and when I was younger, no woman want me. And while this man never said that, it is important to contextualize it because part of the conversation happening is this idea that black men who are nerds did not get any woman because these women didn't want them. No. The woman you want didn't want you. And now we're adding to that this notion that a woman's education does not add to her value, right? A woman's education can be dismissed and it's seen as unimportant. Now, I'm going to play this. And don't take it from him as if he's speaking for the manosphere, but take it from me in that there have been multiple people in the manosphere, when they talk about a woman's educational attainment, they dismiss it as unimportant because a man, quote, does not care about your education. A man seems to only care about how you look. This is a problem. If this is true, which I'm not arguing that it is not true, if this is true, we have serious issues in our community because what we are valuing is not things that can add actual economic and other kinds of resource to the community. If all we care about is how someone looks, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, we are all visual creatures, right? But if you're saying someone's educational attainment and employment status as a woman does not matter, are you then willing to take the next step and say, in saying that, I am accepting that I don't care about uplifting the community? Because ultimately that's what it means. If black men are going to jail, if we're not doing what we need to do, and even if we are, wouldn't it be better to have both partners educated, have both partners contributing to the household? Wouldn't that not be better? And even if you don't want that relationship where people are both contributing, wouldn't it be good to have an educated woman to teach the children? Like, the conception to me does not make sense. And I'm going to play this small part of the live that we did, and then I'll be back with more for Harriet because we're gonna watch the rest and then we can close out. Shit.
No,
Because
no.
I,
Present some evidence to me that it is, and I'll change my mind. I'll concede. As soon as you bring up some talking points, list them
black
out. A,
women's
B,
education
C.
is not important.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Black women's degree is not important.
It's important to them. Like, don't get it twisted. I deal with women who got degrees.
No.
But when they bring it to me,
we're not doing you. It's not about you. We said we're talking about ideas in the manosphere.
say that
This
again. Repeat yourself. My bad. I'm sorry. My
Yeah,
bad.
this is an idea in the manosphere that men don't care about a woman's degree and a woman's degree.
In relation to relationships, no.
So I'm not playing all of that because hopefully we all get to come back on Friday and we get to talk about this. But he was not as adamant, right, as most people, because Kevin Samuels, for example, the roommates, Fresh and Fit podcast, they've all articulated at some point or another that a woman's degree is unimportant. And in fact, for some of them, women having degrees make them less attractive, right? And so when we hear these conversations happening about men boo-hooing on the internet, talking about how when they were younger, black women didn't want them, and so they, in a sense, divested from the black community because black women, don't do that. Don't blame other people for your decisions in who you decide, for your decision in who you partner with. That is a personal decision that I don't think people should be attacking you for, right? I think you should love who you want to love and do that freely. The problem comes in when we have people who are unwilling to stand fully in their decisions and say, I made this decision because I wanted to make this decision, and this is what I believe, and this is who I love. Say that. Do not use black women as a scapegoat for your decisions in who to mate and where to put resources. Those are your decisions. And so for me, going on Clubhouse and YouTube and hearing people talk about how detrimental it was to their self-esteem that the cheerleader rejected them, because this is ultimately what they're doing. Again, for every single person that rejected them in the black community, there were at least 2, but up to 5 who wanted to date them that they did not pay any mind because they did not look like the person that they wanted. And to be frank, if those women still have the kind of beauty capital that they have, they still probably won't want you unless, of course, they want your money, or unless, of course, you have improved your physical body and how you show up in the world, right? So it's not black women's fault. It is that specific woman or those specific women's fault in your life. Now back to the whole black woman standard thing, because I'm going to drive this point home, and we hopefully will not be discussing this in any depth tomorrow, right, on Friday, when we discuss it, because I hope we can all get online and we can be talking to each other and agreeing that, as a matter of fact, black women's standard, they're not high at all. They were never that high. Right? I mean, at one point, black women didn't have options, right? We're talking about slavery and Jim Crow. It is after Loving v. Virginia that black women's options were opened up, and black men also, right? So this idea that black women somehow have these really high standards because they want a man with a job who can also provide, those are standards? Like, it frustrates me, and I do recognize, because I've been talking to people in my own life about the videos that I'm making, because I'm introspective in this way about kind of what am I putting out into the universe and how am I affecting other people. And that is very concerning to me, and I always keep that in the back of my mind. I don't mind apologizing if I'm wrong and correcting things if I was too sort of nonchalant in my approach. But for that, I think about kind of how are we showing up in the world for each other, right? And I find it hugely problematic. I really do find it hugely problematic that we have groups and groups of people coming together online to talk about black women in this way. And when I say groups of people, I'm talking about groups of black men. And this idea that black women are just out here trying to get only high value men and all that stuff. Like, I am for hypergamy. Do not get me wrong. I will tell a black woman to date up in a minute when it comes to financial resources and access to finance. But the truth is, most black women don't do that. And the reason why I am for hypergamy as opposed to not is most black women don't date up financially. Most black women tend to be providers a lot of the times for black men. And then when a black man gets successful, they tend not to. And it's interesting because when we talk about the marriage statistics, which I'm pretty sure we get to talk about on Friday, is most black men marry black women. While that is true, black men are 2 times more likely to marry outside of their race than any other race, right? Black women are less likely. And we did this before, but then the question is, do black women, in terms of their, quote, market value, as if they're some kind of commodity, attract people of other races? And everyone loves to throw out, they don't, and no one wants a black woman, and blah, 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 and this and that. And the truth is, well, one, even if that is true, black women casting a wider net would still be beneficial to them in terms of their ability and opportunity to get partnered. So that's the first thing. But the truth is, black women do not want these men. Black women, I don't know if it is out of this sheer sense of loyalty from biology. I'm pretty sure it's not biology. I'm pretty sure it's acculturation. But through this, their socialization process has chosen to partner black men and want black men. And to the extent that they are, quote, divesting, it is because they're reacting to black men. And it's so sad because black men see this and decide, oh, I'm going to attack, as opposed to realizing that these women are trying their best to architect for themselves lives that are ultimately beneficial to them and their offspring outside of a black man who they believe have divested from them through the rap music, through online forums, through the way they converse about black womanhood. Like, all of it seems to be a problem. And so when we talk about this, it is this really, really sad reality where there's this kind of archetype of a black man that says, oh, black women should submit. Submit to who, for what, why, and when? Like, what are people submitting to? What are you offering? You're talking about what is she bringing to the table? What table? And it's sad because I think that so often people come to me in my inbox and say, hey, Themis, a black man is not going to watch your channel because I feel like you are too blunt in the way that you talk about it. And for so long, I have been trying to monitor the way that I talk about this stuff because I think the white supremacy and the media as an instrument for white supremacy has done a ton of ill in terms of portraying black men as these quote-unquote beasts to be dealt with. And the truth is, there are too many good black men for us to sort of create this caricature of a black man and try to make every black man that way. The problem is some of the loudest voices are that way, right? Some of the loudest voices, and maybe because the media want to portray this, propel these kinds of voices. And so this is what people see. And so even if it's a minority, it is an extremely loud minority. And when we have black men who are supposed to be the good ones not calling these things out, that is a problem. Like, if you are here defending someone who is talking down to people who you're supposed to be queens and sisters, then you're not doing that which you need to do. And that is a problem, right? If you're defending them because, well, they might sound harsh, but at least 2% of what they're saying is good, then that's the problem. If you're saying black women need to be submissive, and not just black women, if you're saying anyone need to be submissive and whatever, London Link also echoed this in one of the lives, where the question is not, are they submissive? The first question is, are you facilitating an environment where a person would feel safe submitting? And I don't like submission. So let's use cooperative, right? If you want femininity, is this person you're with even feminine, right? If not, then maybe you need to find someone who is quote unquote feminine, who likes to be feminine. And if you find that person, do you facilitate an environment where they can be feminine? Because what I can tell you is it is not in anyone's interest to act in a way that is contradictory to their own survival. So no one is going to act submissive and feminine when they're being attacked, right? You're not in the middle of a war making tea and having lunchtime tea. Like, no one does that. Or late afternoon tea or whatever. No one does that in the middle of a war where there are bombs and guns firing everywhere. So if the environment does not facilitate this, then how do you expect people to do what you want them to do? You have to create that environment, and maybe you guys both need to work together and create that environment, but that environment needs to be created first out of pure self-preservation. So that's the first thing. The second thing, and the final thing that I'm going to touch on today, is this. It is important, I think, that we as Black men, I don't actually care about your sexuality. I don't care about your engagement and what you do. I do, however, care about the fact that if we're talking about marginalized groups in the United States, it bothers me to know, like, no quantifiable number and the theory that I can put into words right now how much this bothers me. That you are going to shame people for achieving in this marginalized group. You're going to shame people and put people down who are achieving because you don't like that they're achieving, because it makes you feel bad that they're achieving. No. Get a job. If you need a degree, then get a degree. If you don't need a degree, because formal education is definitely not for everyone, right? Then do you. But to the extent that we are having these increasing amount of women going in school, graduating, getting degrees, getting jobs, then uplift these people. Like, you cannot want to date them. You cannot have the idea that you want to partner these people, but uplift them, because at least what they're doing is adding to the resources in the community. At minimum, that is it. So it does bother me that people are being shamed for being nurses. It does bother me that women are being shamed for wanting to be highly educated. It does bother me that in a community that we are at the bottom of the socioeconomic every statistics that I can find, that you would shame people and tell them that you don't want women who work. No. If these women don't work, we fall even further, because we all need to figure this out together. Like, I don't understand it. I am making this video because I want a sort of prologue to the live that we're going to have on Friday. It will not be chaotic. I'm just going to mute, dismiss, remove anyone that is being chaotic. Like, I'm not in the mood for that, because I do fundamentally believe in the upliftment of the African American community. I am not an ADOS, right? I immigrated to the US. I am only here on the backs of ADOS who have fought for me to be here. The civil rights bill that was passed, and it helped all immigrants who were coming to the United States, myself included. So I am fully aware of the hard work and labor that ADOS have put in for us to be here. And I will not be used as a scapegoat to say, oh, if that Black person who is an immigrant can do it, why can't everyone else? No. I'm not your scapegoat, because I'm fully aware that ADOS was fundamentally invested in making this system more equal, a system that I am now benefiting from. So I'm not your scapegoat. Do not click this video like someone has done before and talk about, oh, he's doing, no. I am deeply, deeply invested in the Black community, including ADOS community, and uplifting them, including men in the ADOS community. So let's be clear about that. But there are some hard truths that we need to get out there in order for us to uplift each other economically. In order for us to uplift each other economically, we are going to have to deal with the reality is that there are some issues that are culturally, obviously other issues exist, but there are some cultural issues that we need to figure out. One of them is this devaluing of education. There's kind of hatred towards people who are achieving, and not people, because I don't get that hate as a man. I have to admit that. I am usually welcomed in different kind of spaces, and people celebrate that my academic achievement and achievement in my career. I have to admit that. But when it comes to women, it seems as if we're saying, no, you can't do that. You're messing up the order. Submit. No, maybe they shouldn't. Maybe we are not in a place yet. Even if I can accept that submitting, which I will never, is women submitting is a natural order of things. It's so ridiculous. But even if that were true, we're not in a place for submitting yet. We have not built generational wealth. We have not even caught up from the years of slavery, let's call it what it is, slavery, and then Jim Crow, and the abuse and American imperialism all across the world. We have not, as a Black community, recovered from that yet. So until we recover, it is really ridiculous for me to sit here and watch you shame, particularly women who are doing the work to uplift themselves and in so doing their community from this marginalized group status. I don't have a problem with a strong woman. And if you have a problem with that, maybe you're just not a strong enough man. I don't know. That's what the math for me is just not mathing. If we're talking about uplifting a community, we can't be talking about women quitting their job and women being dependent on what man? Where? Who? Because the statistics do not show that anyone should be submissive in the Black community. In fact, it means that we are all going to work if we decide to stay in the Black community. And this is why the divestment community is happening, and I'm all for women exercising their options, as you like to call it, because this is just not working. It is not. So I look forward to this conversation on Friday. I will not be proving myself to anyone. We will be talking, and to the extent that you don't believe, then you just don't believe, because I am tired of pulling out quote-unquote receipts to prove things that people aren't even trying to listen to anyway. So if you came to derail the conversation, you can try, but you probably will be removed, because I am kind of over talking to people who are not listening and who are just waiting to quote-unquote rebuttal. In any case, I am done. That was a rant. I was going to go back to for Harriet video, but I decided, you know what, let me just end it this way. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you again later. Bye.